This is still so weird for me. I'm used to being behind the camera, not in front of it. So I had asked my Instagram followers what would be another video you'd like to see me talk about, and the majority of you wanted to know about how I got started in local news. So for this video, we're just going to be doing a fun little story time, just explaining how I got started and how I became a reluctant journalist, basically. And if my boss sees it, I'm not reluctant anymore. I love my job, and I'm very, very grateful for the career that I have and for the opportunities given to me by the news station that I currently work for. I'm not gonna say who I work for just because, I don't know, the internet's crazy. I don't want people looking me up. Also, hello, if you're new here, hi, my name is Andy. I'm a photojournalist by day and a comic book artist by night. If you want to see more tutorial videos on videography, I made a video about how I made this set back here, whatever. You can watch it here. I've linked it in the description below. And yeah, let me know in the comments if you want to hear more stories about my time in journalism or what my comic book process is like. Also, I just went to a cool market called Blasphemy up in Los Angeles. Currently editing a video on that, so stay tuned for the vlog. But yeah, for now, I'm just gonna tell you my story about how I became a journalist and where it's led me. I can tell you now, I never in a million years would have thought that I would have wound up having a, like, at this point, decades-long news career. More than a decade. I've been doing this for 11 years now. That's crazy. I've even won several local Emmys on it. Good for me. Woo! Yeah, but it's taught me a lot about interacting with my community, and currently teaches me a lot about humanity. You know, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But I do think it's important to kind of talk about just some of the behind the scenes experience, just to kind of demystify a lot of it, especially since, you know, the majority of my career has happened during not one, but now two Trump administrations, where there has been a heightened rhetoric that is anti-media, anti-journalist. So how did I get started? So to go back to the beginning, the year was 2014. For some context, I had graduated college the year before. I had an art degree. Oh boy, yeah. 2013 was a wild time. We were still kind of recovering from the 2008 recession, and everybody had drilled into me, don't be an artist because artists don't make money. So I thought, how about I become a videographer because they'll make money? And that's what I did. But I remember standing there as I was getting my graduation diploma. I'm like, wow, I've made a huge mistake. So I think the official title was like Visual Arts, Art and Technology with a focus on video production. One of my professors, he was a documentary filmmaker, and he, you know, through his connections, helped me get an internship at a documentary studio in Pasadena. The studio, by the way, is Interloper Films with Andi Timoner. She is most known for, I think, her most recent film, Last Flight Home, about her father. And I think she currently released one on, you know, when the LA fires burned her home. Incredible work, highly recommend her stuff. Also, one of my favorite documentary films, We Live in Public, kind of predicted the rise of social media and the obsession with it long before it became mainstream, so it's a fascinating look at that. So yeah, with her at the time, she was doing a web series called A Total Disruption, and that's sort of where I got my first, got my first experience with editing video. And because it was documentary, it's already in this nonfiction format, right? And from the jump, I'm learning about finding a way to tell a story that you are not personally writing, or someone isn't personally writing. And it's taking the real, taking people's real lived experiences and trying to weave something, I don't know, poetic or artistic with it. But the thing is, at the time, I was also dating a butthead. I'm not going to elaborate too much on that because I don't want him to be the focus of the video, but the guy made me come back from Pasadena to Oceanside, which is where I grew up. So I'm living with him. It was a very unpleasant time in my life. I'm not going to go into it. It just, trust me, it was not good. I was doing a lot of freelance video stuff. I was unbelievably depressed. And I mean, forgive me if I'm getting real, but like, that's how the story goes. And I was just so desperate for consistent work. I had no money. I was taking odd jobs, like putting up with a lot of bullshit that I absolutely would not put up with today. Of course, I have like the privilege of having a, you know, savings account now, so that's nice. So I don't know. It's crazy to think about. So I'm doing odd jobs and I go on something called Craigslist, right? If you don't have Craigslist in your nation or whatever, it's basically just like an online, I don't know what you would call it. It's just it's a way for people to connect with other people to like pick up odd jobs here and there, sell their stuff, whatever. It's just sort of like almost like a newspaper format for just selling things or pitching ideas. And I found an ad for it, looking for a videographer to shoot a hair salon commercial. And it was, I mean, not like a commercial for television, but I think it was for their website. I think it was called Hebe Hair in Del Mar, California. And so I'm there, and there is a man who's getting some, you know, hair treatment thing, and he goes by the name of John Dupree. John Dupree just so happened to be an anchor at KUSI, which is a, you know, local San Diego news station. Currently bought out by Nexstar, but at the time they were independent. Owned by McKinnon Productions. I've got a lot more stories about them. To be clear, my looking back on it, I have a lot of, you know, critiques for how the newsroom was run. But it was never, you know, a critique on like the people who worked there. Everybody, I mean, we're all like in the same boat, all like, I say this to be like mildly dramatic, but like trauma bonded from all like the bullshit that they put us through, and we did not get paid a whole lot. But yeah, it is 2014. I'm doing this video shoot, and apparently John Dupree was very impressed by my, I guess, work ethic. It was very, there wasn't a ton of direction that I thought it was going to be like, okay, I need this, this, and that. And it was more like, do whatever, film the whatever. At the time, the camera I had was like a, Rebel T2Y, which I bought used for, I don't even know how much, $100. It came with a kit lens. It got the job done. Man, I remember talking to him and he was like, hey, like, can you edit? And I'm like, sure. At the time I had bootleg Final Cut Pro. Thank you, Interloper Films, for installing that for me all those years ago. So I'm talking to John Dupree, and he says, I really like how you really took direction of this shoot, right? We have an opening at KUSI for a video editor position. I think you'd be a perfect fit. And I was like, okay. I think at the time I was also like responding to other jobs in Los Angeles, and yeah, like video shoots, commercials, whatever I could get my hands on. My boyfriend at the time was not very supportive because he was a butthead. And I mean, I only mentioned this just to kind of reiterate just like how desperate I was for a job, desperate to have some independence, some freedom, something. And yeah, and I mean, my first news job really saved me from that situation. Maybe I'll do another video just kind of elaborating more on that time. You know, if you want to hear more about that story, let me know in the comments below. With all that said, I'm just hungry for work, for a job, for something reliable and consistent. And this came to me like a breath of fresh air. I was like, I immediately sign up, you know, send in my resume, send in my reel, like whatever I had. I edited the video. I got paid like $100 for the shoot, which at the time was like incredible. Such an amazing feeling. And then I sent in my application, and then I just waited. I remember running late for my first interview, and I was like scared shitless about it. I had like no money at the time, so literally I was wearing like my mom's like paisley blouse. And I don't know, my boyfriend at the time kept on like, you can't wear that. I'm like, I don't have anything else. Like, if you want to buy me an outfit, then buy me an outfit, but this is what I got. And I remember being like 10 minutes late, and I was like scared shitless because like I was not anticipating traffic. The receptionist there, she's like, hey, so your interviewee, she's running late. And I'm like, oh, thank God. Like, but she interviews me. I tell her about my experience. I tell her about my passion for documentary filmmaking and how I think it would be a good fit for KUSI. I don't remember if it was the same day. I think it was, I had to come back on a different day, but they had me do an editing test. And the assignment was just a story that had already aired. It was, I think it was just like a general, like, go edit this VOSOT And for, you know, layman's terms, VOSOT is just like the 30-second story that the anchor voices over, and then they toss to like a quick soundbite. A full package is when like the reporter presents like their report on whatever, and then VOSOT is sort of like the rest of the newscast, anchors reading, whatever. So the VOSOT was about, I think it was just like a general block party. This was in September, right? So we were doing a lot of Labor Day stories. Bayou by the Bay, like something like that. The editor gave me 20 minutes for me to finish the project. He gave me the script and I did it in 10, you know? And that was my first, like, okay, we've got the script here. It's talking about like food. I show video of food. It's talking about music. I show video of musicians playing. Guy comes in and he was like, okay, like that wasn't bad. And I'm like, honestly, like I felt like I could have done this in 5. It was quick, right? Looking back, it's not like every story would have been that easy, but because everything was laid out very clearly for me, it was a little bit easier for me to edit. But yeah. At the time, my cousin, he was working at NASA's JPL labs in Pasadena. Pasadena, very auspicious city for me. That's where I got the news that Robin Williams died. I remember thinking like, oh God, like if I don't get this job, that's gonna be me next. I just know it. I just know it is. Which again, not to bum you out, but like I said, I was very depressed. And then I get a different phone call, and it's KUSI, and they said that I got the job. And I don't know. I don't even remember. I was just stunned, relieved. I don't think I cried because I was there with like my aunt and my cousins, but like, yeah, it's crazy to think about that moment now. I mean, it changed the trajectory of my life. So I'm driving back down to San Diego, well, Oceanside at the time, and yeah, that sense of relief, I don't think I've ever experienced anything like it, or will ever again, but it was good. I did it, you know, and all the year of hard work paid off. My first day there, like I bought this little like blazer from Forever 21. I had these like red wedge heels from like probably also Forever 21 or Ross Dress for Less. And I had these tight pants, made my ass look great. Maybe I wore like a red shirt. I think I still have it. And it was weird. I was like, holy shit, this is my first like TV job, right? And I remember the first time shadowing the editor. His name was Travis. Oh, dear Travis, I have such fond memories. Or Travis Berger was his name. He's showing me the ropes, and he was the one that taught me the lingo, right? VO means voiceover. SOT means soundbite. NAT means natural sound. That's usually where they have like, if there's music, you know, they'll play the music for like 2 seconds, and then the anchors will start reading, you know, the story. Packages are with the full reports. A mini pack is a, you know, basically a VOSOT, but tracked. I remember meeting people there. Everyone was super nice. Yeah, and I had my little like lunchbox, just sitting in the break room for the first time. Man, it's just such fond memories, even though it was at a like very insane time in my life. I wish I could say that like just getting the job like fixed everything. It didn't. There was still much more, you know, emotional pain awaiting me. But at least I had a job. At least I had a paycheck coming in. And so for the first year there, I was a video editor. I edit their football shows. I think I still have like one of the like really cheesy like promotions for their football show. Oh my God. Yeah, it aired on Halloween and I sang on air. It was so corny. But man, I was so proud of it. Oh boy, I've got stories about the Prep Pigskin Report. You don't even know. Just to kind of wrap it up, like my first job was literally, I would get a script, I would go into the video or the newscast format. We had, at the time it was ENPS, for those who are not familiar with that. It's basically just where we organize the show. It looks like a big spreadsheet, except I'm not a producer, so I don't know how to specifically interact with it. Just imagine just buttons and codes that are going where they're supposed to go. My job was just figuring out how to get the data from the video into the system so that they could access it to put it on TV. But yeah, that's what I did, and I got pretty good at it. Looking back now, like my first, God, I was obsessed with dissolves. I could talk about dissolves forever because I have such mixed feelings on it now. But at the time I thought like, this has never been done before. I'm gonna do a dissolve. Just that, and a dissolve, by the way, is like that thing that like where the video fades into the next shot. I think it looks super cheesy now, but at the time I thought like, man, no one's done this before. And they liked it, so I think it added like a nice touch to it. Yeah, and I remembered like the very first time I edited something and it premiered on television. We had like a cheap little television set, literally this big, square, was only connected to KUSI. And I remember editing just like, I think it was this time it was a marathon. There were some people with some like funky hats. Like one was like an umbrella rainbowy hat and he was just like doo-doo-doo, like dancing. And the line in the script was, you know, colorful characters today at the blah 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 5K marathon, whatever it was. And I remember trying to time it out, like reading the script out loud to make sure like the video made sense. I put it on the air and I'm just like biting my nails like, oh my God, like what if I made a mistake? And I see the little television and I can watch it as the anchors are reading it out live. Colorful characters at the 5K today, blah, blah, blah. And it timed perfectly with the weird hat dude. Like, and I felt so proud. And it was just like this like moment just kind of hits me like, whoa, I did something that got on TV. And that's incredible. Huh, man, I haven't thought about that in years. Damn. I'll probably record like another video just elaborating more on how I became a news photographer. That didn't come until like a year later, I think. But yeah, that's how I got started in local news as a video editor. Man, that was such a crazy time. What is it? The Tale of Two Cities. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times, right? And I mean, how many moments in our life feel like that? Anyway, that's my story about how I got started in local news. I'll record another one of how I jumped from being a video editor to a news photographer and how I went from KUSI to the stations I would eventually work for. Thank you so much for watching, if you watched so far. I am starting to come up with a consistent schedule, so, you know, keep your eyes peeled on Sundays. That seemed to be the day that fits best for me. So yeah, Sundays. It's also my birthday on November 21st. If I'm posting this on Sunday, it'll be the 23rd. But whatever, it'll be my birthday. I'll be 33. Yay! If you want to see more videos where I talk more about, you know, stories from the journalism world or how-to videos on videography, art, comic books, let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, please share it with your friends, like, subscribe, do all that, please. Please respond. That doesn't sound pathetic at all. If you like the cut of my jib, please subscribe. And we have fun here. I'm ripping that off Rachel Maxey. And I guess I will see you in the next video. I hate these outros so much. But yeah, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And until next time, my friends, I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye. I'm still getting used to this.